Why do manufactured electronics literally never have the exact resistance printed on the box? Or think bigger. How does an astronomer measure the distance to a galaxy billions of light years away? Well, those completely different scenarios actually have one huge thing in common. They both rely on a mathematical concept that literally governs the boundaries of our physical world. The culprit behind that electronics question? It's manufacturing imprecision. Whether it's a tiny resistor or a massive capacitor, no two pieces are made identically down to the microscopic level. So instead of demanding impossible perfection, engineers use absolute values to measure this imprecision. It guarantees that variations stay within a safe, specified range. So absolute value concepts, graphing the V-shape, and solving real-world equations. By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly what absolute value functions are, how to graph their unique V-shapes, and how to solve their equations using real-world examples. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The reality of distance. Let's start with the absolute basic concept here. Absolute value simply tells us the distance a number is from 0 on a number line, completely ignoring its sign. Think about it. Whether you walk 5 steps forward or 5 steps backward, you still walked a distance of 5 steps. Distance is always positive. Mathematically, we define this as a piecewise function. If your input, x, is 0 or positive, the function just outputs x. Easy, right? But if your input is negative, the function actually multiplies it by -1 to strip that negative sign right off. The final output is just your input value with any negative signs wiped away. Let's make this easier with an actual example. Going back to our real-life resistor, let's say we have one rated at 680 ohms with a tolerance of plus or minus 5%. To find our safe range, we calculate 5% of 680, which turns out to be exactly 34 ohms. We write this real-world boundary as an absolute value inequality. This simply translates to the absolute value of the actual resistance, R, minus our target resistance of 680 must be less than or equal to 34. Basically, the difference between reality and our target cannot exceed 34 ohms.
All right, section 2, graphing the V-shape. Now that we've got the basic idea of distance down and how it models real-world tolerances, let's look at how this actually shapes a graph.
The absolute most defining feature of an absolute value graph is its V-shape. Right at the tip of that V is the corner point, which acts as your anchor. Take the transformed function y equals 2 times the absolute value of x minus 3 plus 4. This brilliantly shows how the graph shifts exactly like other toolkit functions you might know. That minus 3 inside the absolute value shifts the corner right by 3 units, and the plus 4 outside shifts it up by 4 units. That puts our new corner point perfectly at the coordinates 3, 4. Now you might be wondering, wait, what if the graph's vertical stretch isn't super obvious? Like, what if that V-shape is really steep and we can't easily tell if the multiplier in front is a 2, a 3, or some weird fraction? Well, we can completely bypass the visual guessing game. You just solve for the stretch factor algebraically. Step 1, choose a known point on the graph where the grid lines cross perfectly. Let's say the point 1, 2. Step 2, substitute that point for x and f of x into your general equation. And step 3, simply solve algebraically for the stretch factor a. Here is a super common student confusion, and definitely something you should watch out for. Do these V-shaped graphs always hit both the horizontal and vertical axes? Take a second and just picture it in your mind. So, they will always hit the vertical axis. Whenever your input, x, is 0, you will get a y-intercept. But for the horizontal axis, it's a different story. Depending on how the graph is shifted up or down, or whether it opens upward or downward, it might hit the horizontal axis 0 times, exactly once if the corner point rests right on the axis, or twice. Moving on to section 3, solving the equations. Now that we can visualize these shifts and understand the geometry, let's get into solving absolute value equations step by step. To solve an equation like 8 equals the absolute value of 2x minus 6, we have to split it into 2 separate paths. Why do we do this? Well, the quantity inside those absolute value bars could evaluate to a positive 8 or a negative 8. Taking the absolute value of either one gives us 8. So we've got to set up 2 different equations to capture both mathematical realities. Solving these 2 independently is just straightforward algebra. On the left side, we add 6 to get 14, divide by 2, and we get x equals 7. On the right side, -8 plus 6 is -2, divide by 2, and x equals -1.
And there we go. Those are our two distinct answers.
Wait, this is really important. A lot of students fall into a trap right here. Should we always assume we'll automatically get two answers when we solve an absolute value equation? No, absolutely not. Because remember, absolute value represents distance, and distance cannot be negative. If your b is a positive number, sure, you get two solutions. If b is 0, you just get one solution, because there's no such thing as negative 0. But if b is a negative number, the equation has literally no mathematical solution. You can't have a distance of -5. Okay, section 4, finding the intercepts. Let's make this super easy with a structured procedure for finding horizontal intercepts, which is really just another way of asking when the function equals 0. Just always follow these 3 steps to the letter. Step 1, isolate the absolute value term entirely on one side of the equal sign. Step 2, split the equation into its positive and negative paths, so a equals b or negative a equals b. And step 3, solve for x. For example, if you're trying to find the zeros of f of x equals the absolute value of 4x plus 1 minus 7, your absolute first crucial step is adding 7 to the other side. This isolates the absolute value bars, turning your equation into 7 equals the absolute value of 4x plus 1. Only after you do this isolation step can you safely split it into 7 equals 4x plus 1 and negative 7 equals 4x plus 1.
And finally, section 5, real-world applications. Before we wrap up, let's summarize the key takeaways by connecting this back to real life, because math isn't just symbols on a page, it is the language we use to set rules and boundaries in the real world. Consider this scenario. Passing a test requires scoring exactly within a 20-point distance from a target score of 80, so the acceptable scores basically form a band around that central target. We elegantly map this reality using a simple formula. The absolute value of x minus 80 is less than or equal to 20. The target is 80, the tolerance is 20. It's the exact same logic an engineer uses when manufacturing a microchip, or a machinist building an engine block. Absolute value governs the tolerances of everything built in the modern world. From the deep space distances mapped by telescopes to the exact physical tolerances of your phone's circuitry, absolute value defines the acceptable boundaries of our physical reality. Understanding how to calculate, graph, and solve these boundaries is what actually allows us to engineer reality. Which leaves us with a fascinating question to ponder. If mathematical absolute values didn't exist to govern these precise tolerances, would our modern technological world be able to exist at all? Think about that. Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one, where we'll be